Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello, thank you for watching my videos. It's Mike, it's January 28th, 2009. Whilst I've been away, I was visiting my children and my ex-wife over in Canada, in case you're wondering where I was. Whilst I was away, things have been happening. So, two things here, two articles on this. The back of the Financial Post from yesterday. Now the first one is this little picture here, ING. This is the ING headquarters in Amsterdam. Now one of my earlier pieces last week, or later pieces last week, I said, you know, ING Canada would be doing okay. I was talking about Canadian banks in particular. ING worldwide, a slightly different story. Now they're still better than a lot of banks, and why is that? That is because they're actually coming out and disclosing exactly how much of this bad debt they've got floating around their balance sheets. Unlike a lot of other banks. ING basically have come out and said they've got roughly 28 billion euros worth of illiquid assets, is what they call it. Otherwise known as a troubled asset, or toxic debt. These are primarily Alt-A mortgages from the States, but there are some other mortgages in there. Now, so I'll have a link to that article. There is also a link here, article here, US braces for very difficult months ahead. Things are going bad over in the States. And the front page of the Financial Post yesterday, blue chips, pink slips. Monday, over around worldwide, more woe as 72,500 jobs axed in one day. One day, that's the official headline number. There's obviously a lot of other jobs that got axed on Monday that didn't quite make it to the papers because the companies aren't that important. So you can probably assume 100,000 jobs at least in one day worldwide gone. Finito. Now the companies in this article, Caterpillar announced 20,000 job cuts worldwide. Pfizer, 19,000 jobs, Sprint Nextel, 8,000 jobs, Home Depot, 7,000 jobs, ING, goes on and on and on. Now one of the other things that happened was this, Iceland's government collapsed. Well, that's not entirely true, it didn't collapse. Basically Iceland, like a lot of countries, had a coalition government where the two ruling parties would join together to get things done. Two minority parties to form a majority coalition government, and they basically said, right, we've had enough, let's go for elections, government's crap. The leader of the country, what's his face, Prime Minister of Iceland is somewhere buried in here, hard, yeah, he's very hard. He has cancer of the esophagus, so there is some justice in the world. Right. Front page of today's business section of the Daily Telegraph. Treasury plan isn't working, MPs say. I guess they just figured that out. That's why it's newsworthy enough. So, front page of the National Post of Canada yesterday. Now they were in the midst of announcing this, but they pre-announced pretty much everything that was in the Canadian budget to the newspapers to get people ready for it. And basically, you have 4 billion Canadian dollars being spent on infrastructure projects, like building roads and stuff, and railways. 2 billion on retraining, so all these people that are out of work are going to be retrained, very good. And 1 billion on green things, like wind farms and so forth. So, what's happening? The comment here in today's Financial Times. People are beginning to realize that there is something seriously amiss with our economic systems. Why I fear the West's luck has run out. Now this is a little article by Luke Johnson, the entrepreneur. Luke runs an outfit called Risk Capital Partners, private equity firm, and is a writer and a chair. He's the chairman of Channel 4, which is a television station here. We should prepare for a wrenching and unstoppable redistribution of wealth. I am not talking about taxes. Okay, there's a pretty damning report on the economy here. Much worse than I ever get, actually. Previous assumptions simply do not apply. Homeowners should forget about the homes going up in value. All that is history. They are places to live in. Pay rises are off the agenda. Wholesale pay cuts may yet become common. Put some cash aside if you possibly can. You might lose your job. It is clear that as a society we must learn something painful and radical. How to live within our means. Because the credit just is not there anymore. Too many of us still fail to see just how severe conditions are and how horrible things are likely to get. This is not a correction. This is not a brief hiatus until the upward march once more. At some point, Japanese, Chinese, and Saudi buyers of US and European government bonds will see just what miserable value they offer. Then governments may have to stop all the runaway state spending and bailouts, and even have to put up interest rates. That's where it's heading for, folks. Another article in today's Financial Times. Inflation can be your friend. Highly unlikely. Governments that choose to try and prolong the old model of a credit-based, consumer-driven economy will fail. It doesn't work. Well, at least he's got that bit right. Price rises will make companies going concern. Pay rises will enable consumers to pay down what they owe while saving more. Basically, he's calling for, this chap, Crispin Odey, is calling for inflation. Now, he does warn that hyperinflation is not a good thing. But do you think our illustrious leaders will be smart enough to know when to switch? There is some good news. The US Treasury Department has told Citigroup to forget about that idea of buying a jet plane. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Well, not with our money, you're not, so saith Tim Geithner. Basically, he's told them to scrap plans to pay $50 million for a jet, an executive jet. Not gonna happen. So, where's it all going, people want to know. Right. There's an interesting article a few days back from Ambrose Evans Pritchard. Bad news, we're back to 1931. Good news, it's not 1933 yet. Barack Obama inherits an economy already contracting at an annual rate of 6%. Okay. Much like the mid-depression year of 1931. However, the U.S. is losing 500,000 jobs a month. Brazil lost 650,000 in December. Beijing says 10 million Chinese have lost their jobs since the crunch began. It's not good. It's not very good at all. So, where's it going? Right, there's currently a little mini war between US and China over the currency, Chinese currency. And what's happening? Well, consensus melts as the crisis heats up. Basically, over in Davos, Switzerland, the world's leaders are meeting along with a whole bunch of people from finance and government, finance and business and non-government organizations and all kinds of people. They're meeting up, trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do. I'm going to include a link here to the World Economic Forum so you can see what's happening over there. There is actually a YouTube page so you can see little videos as to what's happening there. But basically, they're scrambling trying to figure this out. Where's it all leading to? End of March, beginning of April. We're going to have a bit of a turmoil till then. But the end of March, beginning of April, the G20 leaders will be meeting in London to try to work out a coordinated solution to this. Basically, IMF and the World Bank have come out and said the problem is not good, and trying to solve it with individual governments, doing all these individual bailouts and stimulus plans will not work. What we need is a coordinated system between the governments. You know where that's leading. I'll include a link here to a Market Watch article, Todd Harrison. How realistic is a North American currency? That's a very interesting little read for you. And a couple of other articles from the Telegraph. Britain risks gilt strike. The OECD warns. And finally, last but not least, the UK economy will shrink faster than the rest of the developed world, the International Monetary Fund predicts. Now, one of the things that's been happening over the last couple of days is the IMF and the World Bank have been battling with the G20 leaders. This is all becoming far too complicated, but don't worry, folks. Peace, love, understanding, thinking about things, understanding how this all works will get you through a lot of it. Okay, more tomorrow, more in depth. Cheers. Bye.